The date was August 29th, 2012, the day that my life changed forever. My baby sister, newly 13 years old, left the house with my mom, aunt, and cousin for lunch, just like every other birthday. But on this day, she snuck out the side door with a small bag under her arm. I thought nothing of it continued through my day. But after 9 hours of my sister vacating the house, my dad's phone buzzed, and I hear him mutter a couple words under his breath. He seemed disturbed. He then passed me the phone, and what came up was a picture. The picture was from my baby sister's Instagram. My sister was at a One Direction concert, wearing makeup for the first time, a shirt with cut-off sleeves, and tiny jean shorts. But this wasn't even what bothered me the most. It was a multitude of middle school guys that had liked her picture. I spent the next 30 to 45 minutes looking at these middle school guys' Instagrams, trying to figure out if any of them were dating my sister or even thinking of dating her. When my sister got home, she didn't get yelled at by my dad. Instead, she got an earful from me. We got in a fight about how she should dress and what she should post online, and it ended with my sister saying I was being way too overprotective. And she was right. What I've realized over the past few years is that there is a reason for my overprotective behavior. And it began when I was only 5 years old. The year was 2001, and my sister Marina had just been born. Now, for the ones in the room that don't know Marina, there are some complications. She was the smallest baby to ever have a blood transfusion at Children's Hospital, and by no means was she supposed to survive. There were countless hours spent at the hospital, and for several months I rarely saw both my parents at the same time. The day that Marina was born, I was indifferent about her. The coolness of having a younger sibling had already passed, with my younger brother Alex irritating me for the past 3 years. But after 2 months passed where I never saw either of my parents, I began to hate my baby sister. I had no empathy for her or either of my parents because I didn't completely understand what they were going through. Time continued to pass, and after a couple more weeks of visits to the hospital, my mom made some time to hang out with me and my brother. We went to the park like before Marina was born, and everything seemed back to normal, but I could tell my mom was distant. I could see the exhaustion in her eyes, and I could tell the only thing she wanted to do was be back at the hospital. As I was swinging, I asked her the haymaker of all questions, a question I'm praying my children will never ask me. I said, "Why do you love Marina more than you love me?" Looking back on this comment, I think it may have been the worst thing I will ever say to my mother. She began to tear up immediately and couldn't speak for a couple minutes. But this moment I can remember as vividly as me standing here right now. After collecting herself and wiping away her tears, she said, "I love you all equally, but Marina needs all the attention right now. And for the rest of your life, you will have to be her strength and her rock." A couple weeks after this talk, my little sister came home. And at this moment, I tried to be exactly what my mother told me to be. I attempted badly, to be a role model for my sister. Now, my role models growing up included Troy Brown and David Ortiz, two Boston sports greats. So naturally, I attempted to emulate my two heroes. What I didn't understand was how little my sister cared about throwing touchdowns and hitting home runs. I would drag her outside, try and force her to play sports, and every time she'd act interested for a full 5 minutes before going and singing and dancing by herself. Every single time I was confused and frustrated. She didn't understand that I was trying to be there for her. So therefore, I stopped trying, thinking it wasn't worth either of our time. Years passed and Marina was about 6, and I was about 11. She came back from one of her hearing checkups. After multiple surgeries, it was a miracle that there was no serious birth defects. But on this day, we realized that her hearing in her left ear was completely gone, and her right ear only worked at 50% capacity. When my mom and sister got home, my sister went right up to her room, and my mom pulled me into hers. I was told about Marina's hearing, and that I can't talk to her about it, that she needed time to digest what was going on, and it could make her really upset. On this day, I set out to do something I hadn't done in a long time. As we walked outside of the small basketball court, I was focused on what I had to do. I knew I had to be a role model for her once again. But when I looked at her walking beside me, she had a huge smile on her face. She seemed untethered to anything that was going on around her. I couldn't imagine what I was going to do when she couldn't hear and when I couldn't speak to her, but she somehow seemed unaffected. I tried to teach her how to play basketball once again. Yet again, she was uninterested and just wanted to play on the swings. So on this day, I decided to give in. We swung for about 5 minutes, and then I stupidly blurted out, "What are you going to do when you can't hear?" She sat there for a second, let her swing screech to a halt, and then responded in her quiet voice, tone unchanged, saying, "I can hear now, so I'm not going to worry about it." And then she continued swinging. It was simple. She didn't pour her heart out to me, but it stuck with me for as long as I can remember, because on this day, I recognized that through all this time and through all the adversity she had faced, that I absolutely failed in becoming her role model. But instead, she had become mine. A role model, by definition, is a person looked to by others as an example. When most people think of their role model, it's somebody they want to be. However, for me, a role model is a person that pushes you to reach your goals and pushes you to become a better person. My sister isn't a role model because she's the best at sports or best at drama, but because of the way she lives her life. She not only pushes herself past physical limitations, but she emulates me what a complete and happy life looks like. Recently, I received news that I wouldn't be playing baseball in my dream school in college. Something had fallen through, and my spot and promise of scholarship was no longer valid. I felt as if I had lost my identity, like my college process was over, and that I should give up on everything I had worked so hard for. After complaining to every person I knew, including my parents, my coaches, and my advisor, I contemplated quitting baseball forever. I was sitting at home, defeated. My little sister came into my room. She said that she wanted to go play basketball. Surprised, but still deflated, I meandered my way outside, not speaking much. After playing baseball for a couple minutes without talking, my sister said to me, "I sing because I love it, not because it's going to get me somewhere in life." She then dropped the basketball, went inside, and left me standing there dumbfounded. Now, I've always wished that baseball was in my future, but I had lost my passion for the game along the way. It wasn't the same as when I was a little kid, and she explained that to me in one day, in one sentence. Over this past year at Brooks, I believe I have finally found how I can be a role model for others. When I tried to be a role model for my little sister, I tried to be something I wasn't. But through all the bumps and bruises that I've had in this last year, I have found what I love, what I care about, and I hope that every single one of you can say the same thing. It's difficult to help people figure out who they are if you don't know who you are yourself. Everyone has the capacity to be a role model or to be a rock for someone. There are countless traits that you have that others don't. For me, I understood that I could be confrontational and bad-tempered. Marina, on the other hand, is easygoing and sweet. Even though she helps me with this aspect of my life, I understand that I can help her as well. I know I can help her be more confident and more outgoing in her decisions. I implore every single one of you to look at yourself and figure out what you can work on, figure out how you can help others as well. Last May, I went to watch my sister perform in Aladdin. She had her first solo line ever, and she stood up there and performed in pure bliss. That moment for me has meant more than any sporting event I have ever performed in. She showed me what true happiness and true passion is all about. I'll forever be in debt to my baby sister. She has put my life in perspective, and I want to thank her for making me into the man I am today. Thank you.